Hey, what's poppin' nation? It's Lena with What's Poppin' USA, Small Business Support Network. In this week's show, we have Ashlee down in Jacksonville, Florida. This young lady is the founder and CEO of the home health care service called Acare Provider Services, and she's an empowerment coach. Her company is called Ratchet to Righteous. Y'all, please help me welcome Ashlee to the show. Let's talk small business. This is Ashlee LaFavor.
Yes.
Like Target and Target. This is LaFavor. This she's,
All fancy.
She fancy. She fancy. This is Miss Ashlee LaFavor. You're coming to us from Jacksonville, Florida?
Yes, ma'am. Jacksonville.
Yes, and she's got two companies, y'all. Two. She's got Acare Provider Services, which is home health, right? And then you are an empowerment coach with Ratchet to Righteous.
Yes. Come on.
Woo! Because we all know,
we got a little ratchet in us.
We sophisticated ratchet.
Yes.
This ratchet is what I'm gonna label it.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am. So, girl, go ahead and please tell us. Now, I was nosy and I went through your business before you came on, but not everybody is as stalkerish to me, as I am. So, please go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Ashlee, and where you're coming from, how you got started, and the two wonderful businesses that you've got going on down there in Jacksonville.
Of course. So, love the introduction. I mean, love the energy. I'm big on energy when you come into a room or you're just meeting with someone. It just makes it you be your authentic self. And so I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. As she said, I am a small business owner. Well, I ain't even gonna say small business.
You're
growing, big business owner.
Growing, yes, leveling up business.
There you go. And so I own and operate a home health care agency. It was founded in Jacksonville, Florida. However, we've expanded. So we are now in Jacksonville, Orlando, Florida, and we are in Texas, in Katy, Texas. So that's where I commute from. And so we've been established since 2016. I used to be a caregiver myself, and I always had a passion for helping people. I did not ask to be an entrepreneur or even start a home health business. I actually got into the business. I just got on in there based on the needs that I've seen. I've seen a lot of families suffering and complaining about not having good caregivers. I knew the pain of being a caregiver, being overworked and underpaid, working for agencies and not being valued as a caregiver, which put a lot of strain on the care that was being received in the home.
Oh, yeah.
So long story short, I used that pain point to launch an agency to make a change for the industry. I have about 35 staff here in Jacksonville, and I have 15 employees in Orlando. And my Texas location is new, so I don't have anyone there yet. My husband is the chief operational manager as well, so he works in the business doing the management parts for me. So he's been on board with the agency now for 2 years, and it's pretty fun working with your husband. But
so let me interject. When you first started, was he kind of like, I don't know, and then he jumped on board, or was he like,
you know what,
from the beginning?
That's a good question. Honestly, when I very first started, he didn't really know what it was. Like, he just seen me working it. And he just was like, you just love people. I see your passion in it. But he didn't really understand the industry. I'm going to say that. He didn't know like what home health care was, or healthcare in general, like the severity of why I was chasing it, why I was working so hard. Yeah. And so he was working at the time. So he just like, okay, this is what she want to do. I'm supporting. but I think it is. I
Right.
don't think it hit him into. He's been with the company now since the end of 2019, and I think that's when he realized, like, okay, she needs more help, and
Like,
how
this
can
is
I?
bigger than I thought, her
Yeah, this
working
is
out.
bigger than just her being a caregiver.
Right, right.
Yeah, so when he started seeing that and seeing like me go through the different storms and the trials in the business, as we know, no business is an overnight success.
Please, can you
Like,
repeat that? Can you
it
please
is
repeat
not
that?
an overnight success, honey. I mean,
All
it is.
y'all instantaneous Instagram wannabe TikTok.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. This is not that kind of. First of all, healthcare is bigger than that, because you have people lives in your hands at this point. So you have a lot of
Not
confidentiality stuff.
just
You
you.
have a lot of regulations you have to meet, and it's just, and not even that, you're dealing with the weight of their issues too. So you have to have your heart. You have to be strong to deal with it. Yeah. So it's a lot, and you can't. I'm gonna just say this: it definitely, you definitely have to love what you do and see the vision with it, because it's times where you may not receive the reward in doing it.
This is not an industry that you go into to try to like
No,
make, and you
no.
have to be really and I'll say, without sounding callous, like I'm trying to say thick-skinned, as like emotionally like
Yeah.
thick-skinned, because for
Yep.
me, I'd be trying to, I can't work in social work, or I'd be trying to take
Yep.
everybody home. I'd be
Yep.
crying with you.
That's me.
Like, I put myself into that position so
Yeah.
hard that it's really exhausting on me. And so I
Yeah.
know I'm not that girl. I'll give you the shirt off my back,
Come on.
but
And
it's
that is so
my
good.
heart.
Yeah, that's good that you shared that, because that's something I share. I mentor other providers and other people that want to become home health care business owners. And I tell them, like, it does take a lot of, like you say, thick skin. You
Mental
have to take your own
fortitude,
emotions. It takes mental, emotional, um, prayer.
physical.
I'll definitely tell you, you have to have a prayer life somewhere. You better be doing some type of prayer, because it's gonna pull you at every angle. Because, like you say, my company, we service elderly, we service adults with disability, and we service medically complex special need kids. So
Oh
you're looking at a
wow.
range of all different people that are
Gamut. Mm,
hurting. And then you have your own personal problems. When I first started this company, I'm still young. I'm 31 years old, but I was 25 at the time. Yeah, and so I was still healing from my own traumas. I was still broken myself, and it was times I would cry on the way to work or working a client, and I mean bawling out. And by the time I get to them, I don't think about my problems anymore, because I look at their situation. I'm like, wow, this person is
right,
bedbound. They can't get up. So
right,
actually, you're
right.
crying about your lights maybe
Your
about to get
light
cut off.
bill. Right,
Yeah.
right, right,
And
right,
they can't,
right,
they're trying to pray that they can get. So it starts
right.
making you think different in
It
reality.
does. It puts a
Yeah.
different
So,
perspective on it.
yeah. So you start thinking, God, you're a little selfish, girl.
Right. You start feeling a little like, ooh, am I really like, am I that shallow?
like, like, get yourself together. This person
Ooh,
got way more problems than you.
all
Like,
right. Let's
get
be a
it
little
together.
introspective here. Like, what's wrong?
Yes. And so outside of the home care, I have a brand. I actually am an author, so it's lined with a book. So it's a prayer journal and a self-help book. That's what Ratchet to Righteous is. So God laid it on my heart to do this in 2021. And so I'm not gonna lie, I'm a high school dropout. I have a GED. I wasn't that girl that lived this perfect life. I
Right,
used to be
right.
a real party girl, wild, rebellious, all that stuff. And Ratchet to Righteous, it just defines me. And I think it defines all of us. And when I mean ratchet, I mean broken. We have areas of flaws,
Yeah.
and we have flaws every day.
Girl.
And then righteous is this our good self, our whole self, who
Right,
we truly are, and embracing that. And so I made
right.
the empowerment group for people to have a space to be themselves, to embrace their flaws. Okay, so what, you had this wild past or whatever.
Doesn't
Now
define
it
you
doesn't define
going
you.
forward.
That's
Right.
right. So, and that's what it is. And not even that, even every day, even as a whole woman I am now, I still have ratchet moments. I still have moments where I have to catch myself and be like, okay, Ashlee, are you gonna bring out the old version, or you
Right.
gonna bring out
Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, because I'm gonna let loose. Right? Yeah. That's
so it's just that. And so I feel like everyone can relate to it. Everyone can be who they are and just embrace it, you know?
so I have to go back because I'm kind of astounded that you said you started this trek at 25.
Hmm.
Okay, so take me back. High school dropout. You said did you go into like to be a CNA? Did you go
I actually,
into
so when I got pregnant with my daughter at 17,
hmm
and back in 2008, when I actually went, I got all the way to 12th grade, don't get me
hmm
wrong.
right.
However, I dropped out just because I just had so much going on.
You're
I didn't
pregnant
want to
with that
walk.
baby.
Yeah, I was pregnant. At that point, I'm
I
like,
mean,
girl, you got to get together. You got to do what you need to do for this
right, right,
baby. And
right,
I went to a medical assistant program. I went to a school
right.
called Florida Community College
Yep, yep,
here in Jacksonville, where you
yep,
go through like a 9-month program
yep.
to get your certification. And I
Mhm.
actually landed my first job in 2009 in home health care. Yep.
Okay. And so that's what prompted you to see the need.
Yep. So I have been working in healthcare. So I've worked in lines I worked in clinics, I worked in
Mm,
hospitals, in home health. And so from 20, so I have 13 years of experience in healthcare. And just seeing from 2009, I actually worked for this lady company where she was doing the same thing I was doing.
right.
And I mean, it was a lot of complaints that I would see from her families. And a
Mm,
lot of it came from, just the leadership roles, the skills. She was
mm,
just sending anybody out to work because, of course, you want to get paid. And we weren't getting paid at some point. And I ended up having to actually take the lady to civil court because I wasn't getting paid for like 3 to 4 months. Um, and and that's what I didn't know, that these families' insurance company was paying for these
paying
services.
her.
So at that point, I'm like, well, if the insurance is paying for it, it's
What's
guaranteed
she doing with
money.
the money?
What are you doing with the money? And so I was still serving my client at the time, and his mother, she was the one that actually gave me the cue, like, hey, have you ever thought about doing this yourself? Like, you're coming every day to service my son, and I know you're a single mom. I was a single mom at this time, and you're still coming to work, and you're caring for my son, and you're not getting paid. And she didn't know at first we weren't getting paid until she got the EOB, which is the little letter you get from your
Right,
insurance
explanation of
about,
benefits.
yeah, all the
Right.
stuff. And I think they sent her something. It was something that messed up with the billing, but however, she found out and she came to me about it. And I didn't want to share it with her because I'm big on, like, what personally goes on with you, you don't have to expose it.
That,
And I
yeah.
didn't want to throw the company under the bus.
Under
I'm
the
like, well, I don't want to say the company ain't paying me. I just want to be here working.
right.
And
And leave
actually, I
the
needed to say something because the next day I came to work, they had money for me, and I really needed it at the time. They ended up paying me out of pocket because they just see, like, wow, you're driving 2 hours out to come help us with our son. You're not abusing him, you're loving on him,
right.
and just serving. And so that's really what it was, is just serving.
Wow, that's amazing. So see, I'm thinking about the other small business owners out there that are just like, wow, how did
Yeah.
you research that? How did you start? Like if
Um,
somebody's interested,
so if you're
you
interested,
know,
I'll say the start is to know the why you
mm,
want to start it. At that time, I'm not gonna lie, my
mm.
ratchet side was on me because that lady did me the way she did me when I
Oh
took
yeah,
her
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
court.
yeah, 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 yeah.
When I took her
But
to
your
court
heart
at
was
first,
behind the
yeah,
core of it though.
the core of it for me was, I don't want to see people being abused like this. So my why was to see caregivers. I remember saying to myself when I started it was, if I ever had an agency, this is my bad girl coming out. If
Right,
I ever
right,
had an
right, right.
agency like this, I would never underpay my caregivers or
I'm not
treat my
gonna treat
caregivers, or I would never treat families like this. I will allow my families to love their caregiver, to know who's coming into their home, and to feel safe. And that was just my mission at the time. And so, and I also had the mindset, like, people need to see something different. So actually, you can be that difference. Do it.
Right.
And at the time I didn't have the money to do it. I didn't know nothing about business. I'm gonna be
Right.
honest.
Right.
I just
Right.
knew I had the gift to serve people. I thought when I first got into home health care, oh, I'm just gonna, get the clients. I'm just gonna serve, until I started researching. Okay, you need to go get the license, you need to get the compliance, you need to get this, you need to get that. And trial and error over time is what helped me to see. I actually started the company with $50.75.
See? See what I'm saying? So I want people that are watching to hear this, because how many times do we plan and over plan ourselves right out of starting something?
Amen. Yep.
And it doesn't take but an idea
Yep.
and some chutzpah, some little elbow grease,
That's
some
right.
momentum, some hustle
Yep.
to actually get out there and make it happen.
That's right.
Right? So
That's
you
right.
said, and now look at you with $50.75 in the bank
I
account,
know.
single mama,
I say
dropped
that
out
all
of
the
high
time.
school at 17. You hear me? And she now has 35 employees just in Jacksonville alone.
I know. I know. I
And her husband, you know what I'm saying, is working for her ass.
say. Come on. Yes.
You know
And
what I'm
listen,
saying?
you
If
right.
that, ladies, if that ain't the ultimate girl power move to have your man working for your ass.
That's right. And he's good too. I mean, he says it all the
I
time. He's
love it.
like, "What do you want me to do, boss?" I'm like, "Well, you a boss too. We both bosses right
I
now."
know, but I love that support. I
Yes, he's very
love
supportive.
that support on your end. That
Yeah.
is amazing. So tell us a little bit more about your book. Tell us about your book. What?
So, well, where do I start? So, in the Ratchet to Righteous, the book,
Mhm.
the prayer journal is what Ratchet to Righteous is.
Right.
And in the prayer journal, it's not your typical, I know when people hear prayer journal, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a book with a whole bunch of prayers in them, and then I'm
That
going to
I have to
follow through.
recite and stuff.
No.
Right.
So it's
Okay.
actually a journal where you can actually sit and have your own meditation time and your own one-on-one time with God. Because I'm about relationship. I'm about kingdom. I'm about a relationship. I'm not about religion and all these groups. And whatever you do in your alone time, whatever you find yourself centered at, that's what the journal is. And so it does have a few scriptures in between it. It has like more empowering scriptures. So my
Right. Right.
affirmations
Right.
come a lot from the word of God. I go through my Bible and I find, okay, what has God spoken over me, and how do I use that as my affirmations? What has God told me I am? That's how I found who I was. And so one of my things that God will always tell me is, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. It says it in the Bible. So I will take that and I'm like, that's my affirmation. That's my word. And so I meditate on that all the time. So when things come to me, I just recite that. I'm like, no, God told me I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I ain't got time to be worrying about this foolishness, because
With
God told me
everything
this.
else.
Or when I get anxiety or I feel it, I'm like, no, God said in his word, be anxious for nothing, and in all things, thanksgiving, be thankful, be grateful. So the journal has sections where you set your personal development, because
Mm,
that's very important.
work in progress.
It has a gratitude section. So it's very aligned, where you have a scripture of the day. You write your scripture of the day. I'm not telling you your scripture of the day.
Right.
So whatever your scripture may be, you can be reading your Bible. You could have came across a
A
word through,
quote or something.
yeah, a
Right.
quote or whatever. Write that quote down. That's your word of the day. That's what you need to walk with in your day. And
Gotcha.
then gratitude. What do you want to be thankful for? A lot of us just get up, we start our day, we ain't thankful for nothing. So I wanted people to be intentional on writing every day. What are they thankful for? God, I thank you for breath. I thank you for a head of protection. I thank you
Right.
for my home.
Right.
I thank you for deliverance, whatever that is.
It sets you up to be intentional in your
Yes.
life, period,
Yes.
though.
And no
You
matter
know,
what it is, it's not just, and then the reason why I make you write it is because a lot of us say things, but we forget about it. And so in the one page section, it has gratitude, praying for other people. Cause a lot of time we just praying for ourselves. Our sister, our homegirl calling us with their problems. Okay, well, sister, how can I pray for that person? Even if you're
Right.
not doing it around them and they don't know it, write about it. God, I
Right.
hope you help my friend get out of whatever she's
Right.
going through. You know, how to pray for yourself. And then self-reflection is at the bottom. What do you want to self-reflect on? You know, how much time of your day did you spend in the presence to sit with yourself and to sit with God to really be okay?
That's big
Yeah.
because as small business owners, and I'll even take it at Whoopi, stop. My puppy is under here trying to burrow himself in a
Aw.
blankie and he keeps bumping my table. Um, so, as entrepreneurs, small business owners, growing business owners, leveling up business owners, and then as women,
Yep.
we rarely, can I say rarely, take the time for
For
ourselves.
self. Yep.
If we can get 2 minutes on the toilet or to get in the shower and get
Yep.
out, right?
Yep.
Without somebody knocking on the door or seeing
Yep.
a hand come up underneath the bathroom door while you're
Yep.
trying to go potty. I mean, my daughter used to write me notes and slip them
My
up
son
underneath
does
the
that
doors.
all the time. He writes notes like, "Can I get a snack?" Oh, I know you're okay. So
Right?
can I get a snack?
I've
He's like
been on the
circling.
toilet for like 30 seconds, dude, for real. Like, no
I hide in the
joke.
listen. My bathroom is my hiding place.
It's your sanctuary, right? I know. And so, we just don't get that time, let alone for personal hygiene and grooming,
Come
to
on.
even take a moment to like reflect and be like, oh,
Whew.
damn, right? I find honestly that I am so constantly, my hamster's always on that wheel.
Autopilot. We live in autopilot
Oh my
sometimes.
gosh. And even if my computer's off,
Your
right,
thoughts
my
are.
brain is still thinking
Yep.
about all the stuff I gotta, and I'm literally, okay, Helena, so tomorrow you gotta do this, and then you gotta
Yep.
do this, and I'm realizing I don't know how to relax and shut that off and do like a me thing. Like I don't know how to. It is so hard.
And I will tell you, you know what I do as being busy, because people ask me that all the time. How do you balance being a
How do
business
you? Because
owner,
you get
dealing with, they're
pulled.
like, you're getting pulled all over. They're like, you got
Yes.
patients you're dealing with staff, you're a mom, you're a wife. To be honest, that is my balance. So I'm intentional with waking up. I wake up before my house gets up sometimes. So I have to get myself together because if I got to come out to be a good mom or I got to be this wife, okay, let me get even, and sometimes it's not like getting up extra hours. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 30 minutes. Sometimes if I know my kids have to be up by 7, I'm very intentional with saying, okay, Ashley, you need to get up 30 minutes before them. And I have the room that I'm sitting in now, I call this like my prayer room. This is my
Right.
sanctuary. And I come in here and sometimes I'll keep the lights really dim. I
Right.
turn on really calm sounds. So I listen to
Mhm.
water sounds or something I love to listen to. I listen to a lot of hymn sounds, things that relax me. And I
See, I
sometimes just
think,
sit and just allow my body to relax.
I'm of the mindset where, damn, but that 30 minutes, I can just get 30 minutes more sleep. You know what I mean? And so I
Yep.
kind of got to balance
You
what
gotta
is
you gotta
more
be intentional with
beneficial.
changing it. Yep. You just gotta
That,
tell yourself, because I used to be like that too. I'm telling you, before I used to be like that, but I realized how much when I changed it, I slept better. Even at night, I tell people, I control my apps on my phone, so I don't watch television. I'm a music kind of girl. So like once my
mhm.
apps lock out on me, that's it. I'm done. And so before I go to bed, even if I've done my computer work or whatever, I make sure before I go to bed, I take that time. One, I love essential oils. So I turn on my little diffuser and get that smell going and smell
You
that
have like a
lavender
whole
or whatever.
routine,
That really,
a whole
yeah, so that
routine,
really
right?
sets you in. I put on my comfortable robe. I may get me some tea. Sometimes it may be a glass of wine, whatever that is,
Right.
but
To kind of,
something that's going to get me in my peace zone. I'm a bath person, so I may go take me a nice warm bath. I can be in the bath for hours, honey. And
Right.
I just find on what, and sometimes it's soft music. Sometimes it may be just some, whatever I just want to vibe to in that moment. It may be worship music, depending on my mood and what I'm feeling. If I'm real down and sad and I need my spirits up, then I may turn on my live worship music. I need to be filled. And then if I'm more trying to relax and be settled, then I'll turn on something more relaxing and more calm. And so my husband, I got him doing it now. He goes to sleep with the meditation music on in the room. I do it for my kids. My kids sleep better at night, so it's just settling that stuff out, toning out the world. What I had to get in my mindset is, okay, Ashlee,
I'm
if you're
not
up
missing
at 12
anything.
o'clock, this used to be my thing. I used to send emails like late at night or work. And I had to realize, if you send this email out, that person ain't going to get it until tomorrow anyways. So you might as well go to bed. You might as well relax and rest.
Or if you do send it, or you send that messenger message, or you send that, it's gonna catapult a whole conversation that you don't need to be having at whatever time of night.
Yep. So I had to just realize, like, priority wise, is that a necessary? Like, do I have to do that, or can that wait till the morning? And so once I realized that, I was just like, okay. And then getting a team, now I have a team of help. But prior to me having a team, I just had self-control. I had to tell myself no.
So let's talk about building your team, because that is taking your business to another level. When you go from just being you, wearing all the hats, and you start doling out responsibility and roles to those other people. How did that feel to you?
Honestly, I'll start with staff, because 90% of my business is off of my caregivers. So before I got office staff, and I don't have a whole lot of office administrator staff. I have myself, my husband. I have a medical billing encoder, which she can bill all of the offices. And then I have two other administrators, one in each office. You don't really need a whole lot of hands-on people. You just need someone that can do everything's electronic, so we can work the system. And then a person that's out in the field that can go meet families and be the face and things like that. But caregiver wise, I have to give it back to the grace of God. I prayed for people like me. That's it. And I said, God, send me a heart of people like me, people that have a heart to serve like me. Yeah, they're going to get paid. Yeah, they want to make money, but let them have a heart like me, have a heart to serve. And God just started landing caregivers, with me. And then how I started building my team is offering to my team, I treat them well. So I serve them. I don't serve them as, oh, I'm the CEO, I'm the boss, I'm this. No, we're family. We're a union. So I take advice from them. I have staff from the ages of 18 all the way up to 65 years old. And I learned something from all of them. I work with their schedules. I learn them, not in their personal life too much, but just learn them. I may send them encouraging words or prayers in the morning. Sometime at 5 o'clock in the morning, they'll say, if I don't see that 5 a.m. text, then we're like, okay, is Miss Ashlee okay? And sometimes they send it to me, so they hold me accountable. So we work together. I think with anybody, if you're leading people or you're working in entrepreneur or whatever, you have to be mindful that what you put out is going to come back. And so if you lead people right, they're going to do right by you. And I've never had, knock on wood, thank you, Jesus, any bad experiences with staff or hard turnover. Even when COVID happened, I remember a lot of agencies like, how are you keeping your staff? And I'm like, is this how you value them? It's how you treat them.
And the reason why you have such good retention is because you treat them way that you wanted to be treated when you were in that position.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're just like, okay, I didn't like this. Like we say, I'm never going to be like my mom. I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to do that. And so when you get in those positions, you're like, well, mom would have done this, but I'm going to handle it a different way. Or my old
That's right.
employer would have done this, but I'm going to handle this a different way.
Yes. And that was my mindset. And that's still my mindset. When I meet them, I interviewing with them, I don't just go off, oh, they have a nice resume, they have experience. That is one part of it. But I look at their characteristics, how do they talk to people? How do
How do
they
they
handle things when
interact?
they're frustrated? And that's how I match make my caregivers in the families. So when I go meet a family, for example, I'll see we'll use Miss Betty. If Miss Betty is a
Okay.
person that's very bubbly, she likes to get her makeup done, she likes to get out in
Right.
the community. Well, I'm not gonna send Keisha over there
But a
that's
little
more of
introvert.
a settled person and don't, she's just there to
Right.
work. I'm gonna send her somebody like me, like, come on, Miss Betty, we
Come on.
finna go get cute, we finna go pop.
Right. You
So
match them
it's
up.
a hand in hand,
Right.
and then also meeting the care needs too. But if you meet that personality and that care need,
Oh,
the families are gonna love
match.
their caregiver. They're going to love their caregivers because they're like, oh, she gets it. She understands, if you're dealing with especially Alzheimer's or dementia patients, you
Oh.
have to be patient with them. You
Mhm.
can't because one day they may call you by your name, Ashley. The next day you may not get called Ashley. You may get called somebody else from their past, or you may get called their
Jermaine.
mom or whatever. And sometimes you just have to go with the flow, and you have to know how to be in a mindset that they're not there, or you're dealing with someone that has behavioral health issues. You can't be in there bringing your ratchet
Mhm.
side out because you're
Right.
frustrated with them. You have to humble yourself and be like, okay, be firm and say, hey, now that's not acceptable, but also train and show them from a loving heart. That's it.
Right.
And so I found caregivers like that. And
I
my
love
caregivers found me other staff, so I give them a referral fee. So I make it, really fun. Like, okay, hey, if you
that.
find me some more workers, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I reimburse them for gas. It's times where they've been through certain situations. So I just I know how I was as a single mom. So some of my
Right.
single caregivers that's working,
Right.
I know, hey, you got to be
Right.
off by a certain time. I try to find them clients that meet their schedule.
Right. Right.
We just we work as a family. And the clients are the same
Yep.
way. My consumers, we work
Mhm.
as a family. Like
I
they'll find
love
caregivers
that.
from me. They're like, oh, I know someone that's a
That
CNA. She's
can.
good.
Right.
She can work. I think she'll be good for you. So we all are working. It's not just me. I'm just the person that established it, but we're all working together.
But that's the way a company is supposed to work,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
start it, but then it becomes bigger than just you, and
Yeah.
it's supposed to take on a life of its own.
Amen. And then allow people to lead. I think the biggest thing is you have to lose the need of control.
That
We take these titles of I'm the
that's
boss. Being
right.
a boss is not bossing people around. Being
Right.
a boss is everything. You're a boss even if you don't have the title as a CEO. You're a
Right.
boss.
Right. I think, depending on what industry you work in, you always give people enough room to express themselves.
Yes, you
And I
have to.
think that's what when people feel valued,
Yeah.
when you allow them to express themselves and you recognize that
Yep.
individuality, they're
Yep.
just like, oh, they see me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? She said she liked my lipstick in my hair. Okay. You know what I mean? And it builds a rapport. They're happy. They're going to be more productive, because happy employees, they're you typically more
That's
productive.
right.
And, the boss is happy, and everything works synergistically.
Yes, and you have to have that energy. Do you mind if I grab my charger really quick?
Oh, you surely
Okay.
may.
I just ain't want to. This is the ratchet side, y'all. I should have had it charged before I got on. I seen it say 20%. I'm like, 20%? Like, Lord, what? So it's right here on this other side of the room.
You're
So
good. No worries.
I'm not going far, girl.
No worries at all. No worries at all.
Okay. So I'm all plugged in now.
Okay, cool
Safe
beans.
to say we are free. We won't
No
go dying
worries.
off. So that's
No
very, very
worries.
important.
No worries, no
I've
worries.
had it happen to me before, and I'm
Where it
like,
just
oh,
kind of whoop. Yeah.
yeah.
I've been in the
So
middle of a couple of interviews and it just kind of, I'm like, whoop, where'd they go?
really,
Yeah.
oh well, that
They came right back. You know
I
what I
didn't
mean?
want.
But
Yeah, I
yeah, they
didn't
kind
want
of
that
bleeped out
experience.
what they did.
So I said, let me make sure. But yeah, that's pretty much. I'll share it with anybody. You know, being intentional with. You have to have a team, and you have to take advice. You know, learn from people. We don't
Be
know
humble
everything.
enough
Yeah,
to
yeah.
take advice. So let me ask you, because you've had so many, fabulous like accomplishments. And I know that it always was not that easy.
Oh God.
Yeah. Can you think of a time? Does any time come to your mind when you were just like,
Oh, it's all the time, honey.
I got
Even in, I'm gonna be honest with you, because I think people get it. They get it misunderstood.
twisted, misconstrued?
Yeah, misconstrued. You know, when it comes to even an elevation, the higher the elevation, the more pressure is applied to you. And
Mm.
I'm gonna be honest with you. My number one thing I always say is it's a marathon journey. It's not a sprint. It truly is that. And so for me, I will say when I very first started, the times that got me is
I'm gonna put you in the single thing.
okay. So for me, it was more so I would say, oh God. Okay, 2017. I want to say it's 2017. Hurricane Irma hit Jacksonville, hit Florida, and at that time, it was so bad that it shut down Tallahassee, which is where we get a lot of our payments and things from, or whatever. And our claims were like backed up for almost 4 months. And for me, as a business owner, I started this company with no money. So I didn't have the perfect credit. I couldn't really go get all these loans and all this stuff that people have resources to have. And I'm like, Lord, how am I going to be able to sustain this company and keep up? Like I give up. Like, I'm behind on bills, it's times where I've had to sacrifice things out of my own house to keep up with my business. And I thought I was gonna lose it. I mean, I was crying every day. I still have moments like that because more puts pressure on you. Like I say, I keep saying that because a lot of times people look at your now and they're like, oh, she's doing it, she's winning. Yeah, you're winning, but you still have work to do, if that makes sense.
And how hard, they don't know. They say sweat equity. I'm talking about blood, tears,
Yeah.
emotional turmoil.
Yeah, it's gonna pull out.
Like
I'm gonna just tell you this.
it is
You
not
don't
for the
know
faint
what you're
of heart.
made of, and you don't know what's really on the inside of you until you become one, when you become a wife, a mom, and a business owner. Those are the three things when you really see, okay, this is who I really am. And I'll be honest, that's when you realize, oh my God, I got some areas that I need to clean up.
Work
You know,
on.
I got to work on. When I became a mom, I realized it was areas like, oh girl, how you gonna teach her something and you still learning this yourself? When I became a wife, it was areas I had to realize on how to submit to my husband, how to I always tell him in the beginning, I'm like, ooh, I was a little toxic, like my
Yeah.
attitude or my behavior,
Right,
and I
right.
was putting a lot of pressure on my husband to make up for things that I had issues of my past, and he's not that issue. And so it took me, which is why my book is a self-reflection book.
Mhm.
And I talk about that a lot because I don't think people realize until you work on yourself, before you point the finger at everybody else, you have to look at, okay, what am I doing and how could I have done things different?
Yeah. And
And so
even,
with business, ooh, it's gonna pull it out of you.
I always say that if you're okay, so two things in my mental health journey, I would always say if I don't have myself like right and
Yeah,
together, there is no way on God's green earth that I'm any good to anybody else
that's right.
if I
That's
don't
right.
have
Get it
myself
together.
together,
Yeah.
right? The other thing is I always say your personal personality eventually is going to seep into your business personality.
Yep.
Because if you don't have time management, if
Come
you
on, girl.
always wearing crop tops,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? If you
Yep.
always
it's gonna,
right
I'm telling
doing
you,
all of that,
all of that is gonna
doing
come
all of that,
it's
then
gonna come
what
out.
happens when you got to meet customers? What happens
Yep.
when you have an irate customer?
Come
What
on.
happens? Then all of that and that crop top and all that
It's gonna come
bull
out.
caca is gonna come out.
And that's why I say ratchet to righteous, girl. That it just flows in it, because it does. And I see it with people a lot. And like I say, I speak from my own experience, you
Me
know.
too.
Luckily, I ain't never pop off on a person, but I've been in situations like you say, you know. I'll use when I was working on my job. I was working part-time before I went into my business full-time. So I was working my business on the side, I was working. And so I got fired from my job. Lead to say I had got promoted at the clinic. I was doing well.
Right.
I know eventually I wanted to leave the job, but I didn't have to get fired, and it didn't happen to go the way it did. I actually had a little ego and a little pride, and started feeling myself a little bit like, I don't need this job. These people trying me. They every time I come in here, some this and that and that.
You was doing
so I
that.
started to allow the job to change me, change my character, change all this mess about me. When really, no, honey, that's what God was like. Oh no, you think you the HBIC, you think you just the it girl, and I'm gonna humble you. So I ended up losing my job, and yes, stepping into full entrepreneurship. So 2 weeks after losing my job, I'm like, what am I gonna do now? I really have to do my business. It's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. But let me tell you how the test came again. So you got this funky attitude, or you got this, oh, I'm high and mighty kind of, you know, thing going. Stank. There you go. Stank. All of that. And so I get this first client, really sweet family. Don't get me wrong. Great. And husband was who I was caring for. Husband was amazing, but the wife was, I'm not gonna lie, she was a challenge. Very challenging. I mean, I thought I had lip service and attitude. Oh, honey, she had it too. And so that's when, and it didn't click to me at first, but it started to click to me because me and her became best buddies, and we started healing each other. And she was just like, yeah, I got to learn this about. So we started, but then I started to realize God put me in that same situation again. It was another test to show me my character, to show me, you got a little
like a mirror. It's like a reflection, a mirror for you.
There you go. It was a reflection. So that hardship that I thought that I was getting away from the job, I had to now deal with it in my own company.
Face it.
Yep.
In your face.
In your face. And that's the worst, to have to face it, because but if you don't see it properly, and I think that's what kills a lot of us, is we victimize it. We sit in it and we're like, oh my God, this happened to me. This, and we're not. The things I ask now when something comes my way, Lord, what is the lesson I need to learn? Right. You know, and sometimes it may be, hey, get some more help. Change your system. Don't do it this way. You need to you need to read another book. You need to take time off. You know, it's little things like that need to be adjusted to make you better. Like for me, with my attitude and my crankiness, a lot of the times I realize is, girl, you're sleep deprived. You need to go to sleep.
Right. There were extenuating circumstances, right?
You're oversaturating your body with sugar and caffeine. So you got
overstimulated, everything.
Yeah. Then you're really stressed at home because you got this going on and that, and you're taking this problem, that. So a lot of that stuff is when we look, and it's even with our children. I became a better mom when I realized your kids are fussing at each other and they're arguing, but boo-boo, you're arguing with their dad. So
they're emulating what they see.
Exactly. So once I realized that, and God, that's what people don't realize. When you're a believer and you're walking this journey, God gives it to you cut and dry, honey. It ain't gonna always be good. And He started showing me. He was like, you're fussing at your daughter for talking to your son with the snappy attitude. Well, look how you approach daddy with your attitude. She's only doing what she sees you do.
Correct.
So if you get yourself together, she's gonna get. And once I made that change, the way my kids are now, exactly.
Right.
They're totally different. Totally different.
You know, my dad always used to say, do as I say and not as I do.
Come
You know
on.
what I mean? That was his old school way of keeping the kids, you know what I mean, in
Yep.
check. But as children, we don't have our first role models are our parents.
Yep.
And so if, you know, we're learning to communicate and all we see is this, we
That's how
think
you're.
that's how you're supposed to communicate. So that's why you got them little badass kids going to
Yep.
preschool and pushing people
Yeah.
down and
Because they
hitting
see
them
that
with
at home. Yep. And
all that
it's so
kind of
true.
stuff.
And I
Yeah.
realized that, even when what helped me better in my marriage is I
Mhm.
realized the way you're talking to your husband and the way you upset is what God showed me, honey, you've seen this before. Your mama did it to your daddy. And
It's
your dad did some things too, but you're repeating the same cycle with her. And so when we think of breaking generational curses, we don't think about, okay, it ain't just,
mouth.
okay, I'm breaking a curse. It's that your mouth, who you seen that from? Even when it comes down to, business, I've never seen no one have business, but I learned really quick. It didn't take me long to realize, okay, Ashley, you can't operate business and personal as two different things.
Or you see people do business, but they like that hustle. They got a window tinting
Yep.
company. They got a car. They got car detailing also. They got a lawnmower service. They sell lashes and jumpsuits out the trunk.
You doing
Somebody
too much.
doing. They got like they selling wig.
They
They
doing a whole bunch of stuff and still ain't getting a whole bunch accomplished.
because they're not focused.
Yep.
They're focused on a hustle. They're not focused on their passion and what
Yeah.
really drives them. Because, like you said, it gets hard. So imagine, Ashley, if you were not really in the home health business for this.
Oh,
If
I
you
would have
would
been.
just you'd have folded that crap a long
I would
time
have.
ago.
I would have been gone the first 6 months. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
I would have gone.
Yep. Because you gotta follow. People are always like, well, it depends on your circumstance. She didn't have any choice but to go and do that job. Yeah, but no. Because, like, honestly, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Like I say,
That's
you
right.
got to be like thick
Yeah.
skinned,
And
like,
you have to want to grow too. Being an entrepreneur, I would
gosh,
share this is the key to success. It ain't just in the work that you do.
oh,
You have to want to grow. That's it. And that's what entrepreneurship does. It's gonna stretch you. So, like for me, high school dropout. Okay, honey, you ain't like reading in school like that. Okay, now you're a business owner and
you
you
ain't
got
got no.
contracts. You ain't got no choice but to read. So it reprograms you. Okay, you can't sit up to the things you used to sit up and watch TV and do. You can't do that. So your whole life is reprogrammed. I
Rearrange.
had to realize, okay, what's going to help me reprogram it to where I'm not exhausted? Because my first 2 years, I was like a slave master to my business. I was slaving, I was working, and I'm thinking, oh, you're supposed to sit up all hours a day. You're supposed to do this. You got to do this and do that. And I was still like depleted. And then I would come home and then I couldn't really, then I'm trying to serve my family.
Can't
And then by the time
focus,
I'm
and then
snapping,
you
I'm
rant,
snapping at
and
my
you
kids,
rant,
snapping,
right.
I'm all of that, cranky, bitter, everything, because again, I'm not, and again, I'm not even allowing the foundation to come in and say, hey, let me show you how to do it the right way. Let me show you. And you have to be willing to grow. Even now, and we'll be 7 years in April. And let me tell you, I realized that I'm still learning.
Every time.
I'm learning a new level, like finances right now. Right now, I'm learning how to make more of not just making more, but okay, how to continue to make it stretch with different things to invest in within the company, within the same field that I'm doing. Okay, how else can I incorporate? So in my business, we don't just do the home care, we do transportation services. That's a need for families. Let me add in some other clinical stuff to help not only promote me, but this is going to promote my staff. I got girls that go to school for nursing. They eventually going to work nursing jobs. So how can I add skilled nursing to promote them, to grow them? How can I offer little small benefits? So then you start thinking of stuff like that. Then your mind changes different. And eventually you have to change, because if you don't, one of the two are going to fall.
You.
Or both.
Right. You have to have that mental fortitude.
Yep.
You've got to have that right attitude.
Yep.
And you have to be humble enough to, one, accept help,
Yep.
and also to accept criticism.
Oh yeah. I'll number one thing, criticism. I get criticism all the time. Constructive criticism is what
criticism.
Yep, that's what's gonna make you better. I mean, it's not many times I've had, like my husband had just said to me the other day, he was like, that ain't working anymore. We gotta change it. You know, and from wife mode, you know, I'm like, but
right.
mode, I'm like, he's right.
But you know what though? I always tell business owners between 4 and 6 months,
yep,
you need to reevaluate some of your processes and what you have in place and see what's working and what's not.
Yep.
If it's been 6, maybe 7, 8 months and it's not hitting like it should, take it back, rework it, and put it back out there to see till you work out the bugs and the kinks.
That's right.
You know, but don't be afraid to make changes and to upgrade. And so people are like, oh my God, but it's going to change the look of this or the way I do that. How many times has Apple upgraded? They told everybody this morning. They told everybody this morning to do an emergency upgrade on their phone.
They upgrade. You have to, in order to grow, I'm going to tell you this. It takes taking criticism, always willing to learn, always going out there to learn. I would say keeping yourself grounded physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You need those main 3 things. And then if whatever you lack at, bring a team of people in that don't feel like you have to do so. I'm a big believer of assets. And when I say assets is, okay, who do I need to click up with that can help drive this vision out more? So, okay, I'll use my example I had with my medical complex kids. They're wanting to add in skilled nursing. I'm not a nurse. So I'm like, Lord, I got to find a nurse. I'm not a nurse. I ended up finding this nurse. Me and her became entwined. She decided to partner with me or whatever. She's an asset to the company. I was a blessing to her. She was a blessing to me. So now she comes in and she brings in her expertise. She brings in her value, because again, when you're bringing people on board, one-on-one, I want to tell you guys this, entrepreneur business owners, be careful with this whole partnership and, oh, I just want to give people titles because that's my home girl. Are they of value? What asset are you bringing and them bringing, and y'all bring it together and it's going to birth? That's important.
Please make sure that what you are expecting out of that partner is delineated, is spelled out.
Paperwork.
Because, I mean, literally.
On paperwork, contracts. I love my husband to death. He on paperwork.
For realsies?
He's like everybody else. He ain't treating no different. Even myself as the owner. I'm on paperwork, my own company.
Hey, I'm saying, because there will come a time, you know what I mean, where maybe you'll outgrow each other, which is naturally, you know what I mean? Or just like in a marriage, one person grows this way, one person grows that way. You just never know. And so make sure that whomever you align yourself with, you vet them. You research them like you a stalker ex-girlfriend.
Come on. And watch their moves, observe. You know, I love that we have a social media world now.
That is so fake.
It is. But this is what it is. And that's what I was getting at. Like, you know, you have to be very careful, because in this journey, I've met a lot of people I've met on social media that I'm like, they're the it people. And then people look at my life and they're like, she just looks so simple. She don't look like she has a lot going on. And I share that to share with people, not saying that everybody that posts something ain't doing what they're doing, and not everybody not posting something. But I share this because a lot of people, the lust of the eye is deceiving people. And so when people come to me or they follow my platforms or they look and they're like, oh, I would have never knew you had all this stuff going on. Or it's just little pieces, or I didn't know you lived this kind of lifestyle, or things like that, because I don't put it out there in that way.
Right.
But you have to be careful, because you have people that are putting on these images, and then you meet them, and I will be the person to contest. I've met and sat in rooms with certain people, and I'm like,
I feel hoodwinked, bamboozled.
Fish. I mean, and they don't meet none of the qualifications. They even down to leadership. You got to observe leadership well, because just because they're posting empowerment quotes and they're doing that, you be careful. I had just broke a connection with a person because of that, and not saying they're a bad person. They just was not aligned for me. Because just because a cutoff don't mean that person is a bad person.
It's just not
means that
right for you. It's not a
bad
good
association corrupts useful habits. So if you associate yourself with something, you're going to receive whatever comes with it. And you got to know, okay, where's my vision going? Because if my vision ain't aligning with that, then hey, okay, you can be over there doing your hood rat stuff, no problem. I'm over here in another lane. Don't mean that I judge you.
Every opportunity
ain't an
is
opportunity.
not for you.
Yeah. And so I've learned that.
Everyone.
And you have to be okay with not taking it personal and realizing, and I thought this, I've seen things where I'm like, wow, they post empowerment stuff, they're this. And then I got around them in person.
That they're.
Yeah. And I got around them in person, and they hate people. The way they talked about people, the way everything was, it was a power struck. It was terrible. It was like, oh, I want people to be on my team because of what I want. And it's just like, it don't work like that. It's a two-way street. And just because, and I'm going to explain this to everybody, even when you're in your healing, your deliverance, like I'm delivered, God has helped me through things, but God is still working on me with things too. Don't look down at the person on the left side that still may be in their brokenness, because you never know when God is going to raise them up. And you're over there taunting, and you're judging, and you're making things like,
hypercritical.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, help them, lead them, but also be mindful that you never know when they're going to come up, and you never know when you may have to.
Don't burn your bridges, they say.
Yes. So just, pick and choose your battles, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Pick and choose your battles, and pick and choose who you associate with. And social media can be very deceiving, because nowadays, honey, I had to tell one of the girls I mentor, I said, let me give you an example. I can go right now. I can go to a fancy restaurant. I can be broke, okay? I can go to a fancy restaurant, and I can just go order a glass of water and go sit. Bring my laptop. Okay, let me put my laptop. Okay, let me get my camera up, girl, because I want to show people I'm in here living. I'm at this fancy restaurant. Mind you, I just ordered a cup of water. So from the outside looking in, I'm like, dang, she's always at these nice restaurants. Okay, let me order a little appetizer, whatever, boom, bam. Okay, and then now let me go post up at somebody's Lamborghini, take a picture, look like I'm cool, whatever. However, by the time I script and put it all together and post it on social media, and you're a person that's probably trying to, you like, oh, she's living a fabulous life, honey. She's got all this going on, and I mean, it's just gorgeous. And on site, they're not living. Now, it is some people that are living like that, but you just have to, like I say, study people when you get around them. Really, because I've had people come around me and be like, I would have never thought. And that goes to show me people's mindset. And that also makes me judge if I even want to work with the person, because it lets me know that
what they're
already put a judgment up of me.
Yes.
Based on if I'm flashy or not.
And so what I do tell small business owners is you got to talk to people. You got to get off of
social media,
edited videos, because that's edited videos. They not showing you they true edited video, that edit button. And when I first started this company, we used to do live small business selling, like HSN and QVC. This is Ashlee, and she got this mouse, and look at this, and ooh, ooh, ooh. And people had a hard time because it was live. It's the edit button. They can't. it's the edit. There's a thing with the edit button. And so it was really difficult, you know?
Yep.
And so now I tell small business owners, social media is great and everything blew up. We got Versus, we got
Yep.
Zoom blew up because of the pandemic. But
Yep.
now, even though COVID and now, you know, monkeypox is out there, people acting like the restrictions are like they loose, they over. So we are
Yep.
out there. Get your butt out there too.
Yep.
If you got a candle, we don't have smell-o-vision. Not
Come.
yet. You need to get out to your
Yep.
customers. If you're a massage therapist, I can't feel this. I
Yep.
need you to get out and go to a carnival, a festival, a vendor fair. I
And
need
that's
you
what's
to
going to build
post
you.
up at Ashlee's Home Health and give massages to her patients. I need you
Yep.
to, you know what I'm saying? You need to get out there because the world is bigger than the internet.
Yep. And that's what build, and that's what I'm gonna tell you, that's what kept me going, and it still keeps me going because with Acare, if you follow you can Google me or follow Acare, however, you will random find me marketing Acare. And the reason why is because this business is not a business that you can market. You have real families, you got real people that need care. And so
It's word
they
of
need
mouth.
to see, it's word of mouth. And that's what it's been built on. I got referrals from people seeing me serve. They're like, oh, I know she's good. I see the owner out here scrubbing and cleaning and working people.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
So when they can see you serving, I always tell, even down to, I'm just now revamping Acare's website. I started Acare website myself in 2016 and I did it myself. But
Right.
now that I'm branded and all this, okay, let me refresh it. I
Right.
can do a little more. But I
Right.
share that to say is people they look at your brochures, they look at your
Right.
cards, but they want to know you. They want to know you. Why should we use you? Why should I trust you with my family? And then you have to even be careful what you post. I tell a lot of people, if you are a business owner, yes, be real. Speak your realness, but
Right.
also be limited with certain things. If you out on vacation, yeah, show the world you on vacation, however, but don't show, if you're out here, you got your boobs hanging out, you're shaking,
Yes.
you're working, you're
Right.
drinking,
So I
you gotta
really
be
try to tell small business owners though that
it's your
don't,
resume.
you want to separate your business and your personal. Have a separate Instagram. We don't want to
Yep.
see little Nook's first day of school. That ain't got nothing to do with your home
Busy.
health care
Yep.
or me selling lighter. That nothing, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so keep that stuff
Separate.
unless he's wearing the outfit
Right.
from your business.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But you really have to be careful of the image that you portray
Yeah.
when
And
it
you
comes to
have to be
social
careful
media.
because, even when we get into these whole debates and opinions, I get people are very open to, oh, I want to post a quote to let people know, stop doing this and stop doing that. You got to be careful with what you put. What are you putting out there to the world? You just got to be careful.
What does it say
Like for me,
about
I
you?
always with my brands, even if I'm posting something, my goal is to empower you with whatever I'm doing. Whether I'm sharing about a trial, tribulation, and be like, hey, I overcame this. That is something to empower you to keep going.
Correct.
If I'm posting a picture of myself, yeah, you're going to look at me, but I'm going to give it to you with something with a purpose.
Right. It's intentional.
Yes, let me post with a purpose. Okay, what is the purpose of me showing you my lifestyle look? Okay, to show you the balance between mom, wife, business.
Right.
Great. But I'm not going to be on there when me and my husband's going through something and be like, oh, this and that happened and all of this other stuff.
Yeah, you
separate.
That is really one of the biggest time management, I think, is one big issue with small business owners, but also, again, managing that personal versus business relationship.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you are an employee at an establishment, okay, so for example, I used to work for the IRS. In working for the IRS, there were a lot of things that I could not do.
Yep.
And then be like, oh, I work for the IRS, tag them in it, and here is me swinging on a pole or something. Like, that's the girl who does my taxes. We can't have that,
Yeah.
right? You have to represent a certain way. So
Yeah.
there was actually, I watched the news in the morning like an old lady. One of the prime minister of Finland is a young girl.
Wow.
Everybody there is now up in arms because she posted videos because she was dancing and drinking and having a good time this weekend. And they were like, it doesn't look good. You are running the country.
Yep.
It doesn't look good that you're partying out there like that.
Not saying
there's a time and a place.
It's a time and a place. It's not saying you can't go out on vacation and have a nice time.
But you don't have to exploit it.
Limit what you do, and when you're walking a certain lifestyle, I've just realized, who do I look at as my model? Who am I looking at? Oprah is one of my favorite people.
Right, to emulate, right.
I love her. I love another, her name is Dr. Sydney Trim. I love her. How she's always doing things. So when I look at images of those kind of people, I just look at myself as, am I perfect? No. Are they perfect? No. But I look at what is it that they're putting out in their world? What are they giving? They're giving it life. They're putting certain images out. Not saying that they probably don't go have a drink and do this and do that.
No, but
that they're just not going to post about.
Private is private.
Yeah, private is private, and it needs to. I believe that even when it comes to, when I first started mentoring and coaching for helping people with home care,
right.
The first thing I told myself is, Lord, I don't want to be one of these people that I have to post my receipts of how much money I make and what I do and how many clients I have and stuff.
Constantly
like that. If I have to do that
yourself.
To me, that means that I'm trying to draw you in based on that. When I'm not trying to draw you in from that, I'm trying to draw you in because I know that, hey, I can help you. Right. I have value, I have knowledge, and I'm going to help you. Even down to when I'm mentoring people, I tell them, my role is not to guarantee that you're going to get clients because you still have to work. Right. You have to put the work in. I'm giving you the knowledge. I'm giving you the system, the strategies, and the tools. And that's what we have to understand. Even when it comes to getting mentors and coaches, I always tell people, before you pay your money, ask yourself, are they operating in it? Do they do that business? And not this $30,000 in 30-day scheme stuff. But
I don't want somebody's get rich quick, the next best 30-day marketing plan, because everybody got one these days, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll be honest with you. It took me 4 years into business to really start seeing, 3 years to start seeing revenue, like really revenue to where I can see myself, in 4 years where I can be like, oh, whoa, okay. Now I see the vision. Now I see where the company is going. Now I see that big umbrella. I'm not big on, I'm one of those type people that, and I'm going to always be like that. God can make me a billionaire. I know he will one day. But I always say I'm going to be that person that still be this same girl. Treat yourself to nice things or whatever. But
you're still going to be Ashlee.
I want to be the person where I walk in a room where you think that I don't have a whole lot. Because that shows me your character. That shows me who you are. And in some rooms that I have to show up in my boss lady, like, no, I'm coming in stepping, I'm coming in fierce, cute, boom, bam. But it's some things that I've realized, like, I don't have to do that.
Right. All the time.
I always tell people, hey, I go and meet family sometimes. I don't even tell them I'm the CEO. I have on my scrubs just like my staff have on scrubs. Right. And I come in, they're like, then finally after a while, they're like, girl, I thought you were the caregiver. Right. I'm like, I'm the boss. I am. If you need me to help out, I can. But I do that for a reason, because guess what? If you treat me like trash, you're going to treat my caregiver like trash. So you get
undercover boss, right?
And I learned that working with one of my old bosses. She was the director of the clinic, and she would walk around like that all the time. And the one thing she would say, and I would say, why are you always walking around? She said, because when people come in, they think I'm just a worker just like you guys, but I hear everything. And when she said that, I was like, ooh, I like that. Girl, I'm going to do that one day.
Right.
And now I'm doing it. And guess what? I see why.
Yep. She hipped you to her game.
Yeah.
She hipped you to her game. That is amazing. Ashlee, you have a fantastic story between Acare and Ratchet to Righteous. Girl, you are on point. If anybody would like to get in touch with you to get that affirmation book, or if they're in the Central Florida area or out in Katy and they need some assistance for a loved one, how can they get in touch with you, Ashlee?
So they can go to, for the business for home care, is www.acareproviderservices.com, and they can put in, fill our client form out, and they can email us. They can also call our office phone, which is also listed on the website in those areas. We take private pay, we take insurances, Medicaid, long-term care. And then if you're reaching out to me and you just want the Ratchet to Righteous, you can go to www.ratchettorighteous.com, or you can just inbox me and say, hey, girl, I want a journal.
I love it. Ashlee, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us today. And hopefully we can have you back once your Katy location is up and running around. And I am in Atlanta, so I'm not far from Jacksonville. It's just a 6-hour drive, girl.
Well, let me tell you something. I got a new open door for something in Atlanta coming up for healthcare down there. Okay. So be a new territory of me and my family moving there eventually. So
all right, girl. We'll have to link up.
Yes, definitely.
We'll link up. Y'all, it has been a pleasure. Please give it up. All the little likes and loves and everything from Miss Ashlee LaFavor. I thank you, darling. It has been a pleasure. And we will see you next time on What's Poppin USA Small Business Support Network, y'all. Bye now.